What's happening in Hong Kong actually started decades ago. Hong Kong was a British colony, but in 1997, Britain gave it back to China. But there were conditions that it had to protect Hong Kong's autonomy, its independent courts, and its freedom of expression for at least 50 years, so like 2047. But many people are worried that Hong Kong's autonomy is already being eroded, and that's why they're protesting. It started back when there was a proposed law to extradite fugitives to several countries, including mainland China. That didn't sit well with people who figured it would hurt Hong Kong's reputation as a place to do international business. So tens of thousands of people took to the streets in March, but it was in April that things really ramped up. That's when Carrie Lam, Hong Kong's chief executive, proposed amendments to the extradition law so that criminal suspects could be extradited to mainland China for trial. That hit a nerve, with people who figured that it was just a cover to target people who criticize China, and then poof, they disappear into China's judicial system. Tens of thousands of people started to march to have the bill scrapped. By May, opposition to the bill was growing, and so was international concern that Beijing was reaching too far into Hong Kong, and U.S. security and business interests might be hurt by that. On June 9th, an estimated 1 million people protested to have the extradition bill scrapped. There were some late-night skirmishes, but it was nothing major. Still, Carrie Lam said that the laws were going to go ahead, and that's when both sides started to dig in. On June 12th, protesters clashed with police who fired tear gas to push them back. We were in the middle of it, and the clashes went on for hours. And in a way, it worked, because 2 days after, Carrie Lam said that debate on the bill would be delayed. However, 2 days after that, an estimated 2 million people protested to have the bill completely withdrawn. And 2 days after that, Carrie Lam apologized and said that the bill was going to be shelved, but she didn't say that it was officially withdrawn, and she refused to step down. And ever since, the protests have continued, and they're getting more violent. In July, the legislative building was occupied and trashed. Protesters have been beaten, a nurse was shot in the eye, and police officials admit to having officers wearing disguises so they can hide among the protesters and arrest them. It's why protesters are also pushing for an independent inquiry into what they call police brutality. And earlier this week, they took it to Hong Kong airport for 2 days, forcing officials there to cancel hundreds of flights. And the mood really shifted. At one point, the crowd turned on two men they suspected of being Chinese spies. They had to be taken away by paramedics. Beijing, meanwhile, is trying to turn public opinion against the protesters, using words like terrorism. They're also using state media to show images of Chinese military personnel assembling along the border in Shenzhen. That's less than 20 miles away from here. So it's raising the specter of something far more ugly. Will China move its troops into Hong Kong? That remains entirely unclear. There are huge risks. Hong Kong is China's connection to global economies, so there are huge political, economic, and diplomatic considerations for Beijing. But there are also more massive protests planned for the weekend. Janis, Mackey, Frayer, NBC News, Hong Kong.
Hey, NBC News viewers, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down here and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives. Thanks for watching.